Okay, the first time I saw Amy was in Poncho's office. We were sitting in there, and Bert came and plugged in this video of his daughter, who was newscasting in Texas, I believe. But I didn't know that was Bert's daughter. At first, I was just like, "Who is that girl?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, who is that? That's Bert's daughter." I go, "Uh-oh!" I had to stop. But the first time I saw Amy, she took my breath away. And that was the first time I saw you.
The first time I saw you, we were in the lobby at church. And I thought he was very unfriendly. Because he was like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah, you like Japanese. Oh, okay, bye."
I was guarding my heart.
And he said, "Talk to Roy."
We were going on a trip to Japan. And we took in the kids for the first time to Japan. And all of us were praying and meeting every Monday night to learn Japanese. And Bert had mentioned that Amy speaks Japanese and she could help out with the class. And she just really loved Japan. And so I was like, okay, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I gotta stay away from this girl. She's a hottie. It's something that I've always tried to do, is just flee from youthful lust and get away from that stuff. And people would always say, "Oh, you're running from God's will." I'm like, no, I'm just running from myself. And if it's God's will, He'll continue to put that person in my path. And I can't run away from God's will. And basically, that's what He's done.
Yeah. But when we first met, from the beginning, I think we both realized we were complete opposites. Like, at the beginning, he never wanted to hang out or do anything with the normal group of people. Joseph is just Joseph. And it's Joseph and Roy, and that's it. They don't include anybody else. That's how it was before, at least.
Yeah. I was I've heard some horror stories about the singles and them getting together and hooking up, and I just wasn't into that. I didn't want to have anything to do with that. I just wanted to seek the Lord and allow Him to just show me. I know it's crazy, and I know it's like, "Oh, you legal idiot," but you know what? Read it and weep, man. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can say. I knew what God was showing me. I've lived in the world. I played the hookup scene for too long, and I just said, I'm not going to do it the way I used to do it. And that's what I did. I just flee from youthful lust, like the Bible told me. And I didn't want to lust, but so I ran away. And I didn't put myself in those situations where my heart would be tempted to want to flirt and play the game like I used to. And so I just guarded my heart from all of that. And bachelor till a rapture. If that's what the Lord wanted, I was willing and able to say, "Okay, God, but you're going to have to do it, because I've made a mess of my life." And I said, "I'm not going to try to help you out, God. You're going to have to do it." And He has.
Mm-hmm. And so when we first met, I think we were completely opposites, and we both knew how opposite we were. I'm a very huggy person. I'd see everybody and, "Oh, how are you? Hug, 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 hug." And at that point, Joseph was like, "Nice to meet you. Hello, Amy. Goodbye." And run away. That was it. Yeah. And then as we started serving together, and then I joined youth ministry, and we were working on teaching the kids Japanese. We were teaching the kids Japanese, and we were taking them to Japan. As we started to serve together and go back and forth on mission trips to Japan and to Mexico, we developed a friendship, and I think we developed a mutual respect for one another, even though we never seemed to agree on a number of things. If I thought it was this, he thought it was that.
Even when we talk about the whole, singles thing and dating and all the freedoms that we have in Christ, she had those freedoms. I didn't. I mean, seriously, during those times when Amy was just there in the youth ministry and having a great time with all her friends and having all her singles parties and everything, and I was just like, just watching, observing. Roy and I would talk about just watching people's lives, and before ever even considering dating them or going out with them or anything like that, to watch and observe and God, truth, and time. And I believe that. I didn't believe in just go and say, hey, you want to have Starbucks? And, get to know one another. And she's putting her best face forward. I'm putting my best face forward. Then we get married. It's like, who is this monster out of nowhere? That's not who I married. And so
We've already seen the monsters.
yeah. So, these last 5 years, she's seen me and my words, and I've seen her, and we knew what we're getting into in a sense. But it was during that time, for me at least, when I was watching Amy, and yeah, she's beautiful, and yeah, she took my breath away, but at the same time, there's beautiful women all over the world, and there had to be more. And so as I watched Amy through these last 5 years and got to know her and so forth, at first it was like, no, she's too liberal, of course, okay, that it wasn't going to happen. And that made it easy for me, to be honest, because we didn't share the same values, we didn't see things the same way, and it made me easy to keep my arm's distance and realize that I was just fleshing out, so I thought. And so I stayed away from her. But yet, through that time, I saw things happening in Amy's life, personal things in her family, in her personal life. Things were happening that were really tragic in a sense, and were breaking her, and were molding her, and shaping her into what I believe the woman of God that I was looking for. And I know Bert will always argue, no, she was always the same way. But I saw a change. I saw this brokenness. I saw this humility. I saw this perseverance through times that I never seen before. Maybe they were always there, but I never had a chance to see them. And through these things that were happening in her life, I saw her steadfastness. I saw her heart to want to just pray through it. And through the last few years, recent years anyways, it was like, why is Amy even still here? Because everybody would understand if she was to leave this church and never come back, nobody would question it, because she'd gone through some hard times.
Towards the end of last year, I started catching myself noticing Joseph. And it wasn't in a, ooh, baby sort of way. It was just, we'd be at church, or he'd walk by and, hey, there's Joseph, hey, and we'd start talking, and we'd always be talking, but we started to have these longer conversations, and we would be talking just about a lot of different stuff. And then I just remember one time kind of noticing him and catching myself thinking, why am I noticing Joseph? It's so weird. It's Joseph. He's just my friend. Nothing, anything. So at the start of 2009, I kept catching myself noticing him, and then all of a sudden I started catching myself thinking about Joseph, and then all of a sudden everyone around me was talking about Joseph. Joseph this and Joseph that, and oh, have you seen Joseph? And oh, Joseph told me this, and hey, blah, 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 Joseph. And so then I left to Japan, and in leaving to Japan, I sort of just said, you know what, Lord, I want to be married. I want a family. I want this, and I want that, I want this, I want that, but that's what I want, Lord. But I just want to go to Japan. I trust that this is a desire you've put on my heart, and I'm just going to go. If you want me to be married, I don't want to marry a Japanese man. You're God. You can bring someone from the far reaches of the earth to find me, or me find them, or whatever. And I just kind of surrendered this whole idea of, oh, I want to find someone and blah, blah, blah. So I left for Japan, and I get to Japan, everybody's still talking about Joseph. What's with all this talk? And one of my friends who lived in the apartment below me, I walked into their house. The first night we're all having dinner together, they have a picture of Joseph on the refrigerator. I'm like, why do you have Joseph on your refrigerator? Tanashi. They're all laughing at Joseph. He's so fun. So people in Japan are talking about Joseph. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? Everybody's talking about Joseph. Then all of a sudden, my mind was being flooded. My mind was just full of thoughts and memories and just these musings of Joseph. And I believe the Lord just started to remind me of all these things that Joseph had said to me, to my family, to other people, things that he would do for the kids, his life, his walk, his character. And in this time, I had been praying, Lord, if you have marriage for me, bring it. I would love to be married. But at the same time, Lord, if you have someone for me, I want him to be a man of integrity. I want him to be a man of of you. I want him to be a man who is of good reputation, whose name is known in the street gates. I want him to be like those mighty men of David and these men in the Bible who you call. And that's what I had been praying for. And so when all these thoughts of Joseph came up, I thought, okay, Lord, then you're giving me an example. Like, see a character kind of like this, kind of like Joseph. But Lord, surely not Joseph, because I thought, how? I just started praying, Lord, I'm sorry, like, take these thoughts away. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm thinking about him. And I'd have these, what are you thinking, Amy? But it was so overwhelming. I finally called my mom and I said, Mom, I don't know what's happening. All these things are going on and all I do is think of Joseph, and I'm here in Japan. I'm not here to think of Joseph. I'm here to serve and da-da-da-da-da. And so my mom was like, Amy, why not Joseph? And I listed all these reasons. And my mom was like, okay, but why would it be Joseph? And then I stopped and I started crying and I was like, oh my gosh. Because we have the same heart. Our heart is the same. And so she said, you have to pray. You just have to pray. And so I started praying, oh, please, Lord. Please, Lord. I just don't see how it would be Joseph. Like, we will spend the rest of our life arguing. We'll spend the rest of our life disagreeing with each other. We won't like anything that the other person likes. Lord, I've always wanted someone who's so romantic, and Joseph is not at all romantic. That's what I thought then. And then, and so I kept praying, and then these feelings just kept growing and growing and growing. And then it came to a point where I was like, I got to talk to someone besides my mom. So I opened up to my friend Jackie, and I opened up to my friend Alma, my two friends who are very close and dear to my heart. And I thought, for sure, I'll tell Jackie, and Jackie will be like, psh, Amy, come on. And she didn't. She was like, I can't say no. I can't say yes. I could see how the Lord would do this. So then I opened up to Alma, and Alma is like, Alma is always a sympathetic crier. So she, of course, started crying because I was crying, because I was like, I don't know what's going on, but my heart has all this stuff going inside for Joseph. She was like, Joseph. And I was like, I don't know. I don't understand it. And the one thing she said to me that gave me such a peace was that she said, Amy, you know Joseph. You know his character. You know the way he lives his life, and he's not going to be calling you and asking you out to Starbucks. He's not going to be taking you out to dinner. He's not going to be trying to do anything unless the Lord pretty much slaps him over the head and says, this is it. She's the one. And that gave me such a peace, because I thought, yeah, like, I don't look at Joseph and say, oh, but he asked that girl out, and he asked that girl out, or, well, he thought about her, and I couldn't say that about Joseph, so I knew that what she was saying, that, yeah, you're right. And that gave me such a peace, and she said, you just have to pray. So my mom tells me to pray, Jackie tells me to pray, Alma tells me to pray, fine, I'm praying. So I said, oh my gosh, Lord. All right, if this is of you, Lord, which I don't see how this is of me creating this. Lord, if this is indeed of you, then build it. Build it, and I'm open and I'm willing. Just let these feelings grow. And if this is of you, then Joseph will come back and say something, or I don't know, But my biggest thing was, it can't be Joseph. Lord, it can't be Joseph. It's like, why can't it be Joseph? Because if I like Joseph Tatis, I might as well join a nunnery. I am asking to be a nun if I like Joseph Tatis, because he's like, no girls, right? And so I thought I was destined to the nunnery.
Now you guys know, okay, I'm not gay, all right? And and I don't have the gift, and I never claimed to. I was just guarding my heart, and it was important. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
because, I mean, seriously, there's people going from girl to girl to girl, and that's their testimony. And I didn't want Amy or my future wife, if I was going to have one, to say, oh, he was with that girl, and he was with that girl, and oh, he did this for her, and some regurgitated, love story over and over. And So it was something I just, and I encourage everybody, gosh, it's precious. It's something you shouldn't give away so cheap.
Which I have to say, because again, we're opposites. And I was one of the people who was like, dude, Joseph, like, calm down. If you talk to a person, like, it's really not that serious. You're just talking. And, you know, we still have our separate views on the whole thing. But I have to say that coming to this place, I realized that because he has been so strict and because he has been so guarded, I'm reaping the blessing of it. And, you know, everything that Joseph does for me, I know he's doing it only for me, that it's not like he said, it's not regurgitated. It's not, you know, second time around. That what he's doing is for me and for me alone. And it's more than flattering. It's more than romantic. And he writes poetry and he sings songs and he like makes things and he dances and all these things that I
Tell
thought.
all my secrets.
I know, but that was the thing. Like, my biggest thing is like, okay, well, I know Joseph, and I know Joseph, like,
Doesn't do those things.
I know Joseph. I've known him for 5 years. I've been able to see his character. I know his character. I know the kind of man he is. I know his walk with God. I know he is a man of integrity. I know that he has these standards for himself. But then it was still kind of like, well, but Lord, like, will we have stuff besides that stuff in common? Because it's the little things. And I really felt like the Lord was asking me, Amy, do you trust me? It's like, of course, Lord, of course I trust you. But do you trust me also in this? Do you trust that when I say, he who began a good work is faithful to complete it? Oh my gosh, okay, Lord, fine, you win. You know? And he shuts my mouth. He shuts my mouth because those feelings that he started in me, they've continued to grow towards Joseph. I haven't been disappointed. I haven't been anything short of just shocked, like all the rest of you, but shocked in a more personal way because I thought, Joseph's not romantic. And then he starts writing me poetry. And then I thought, you know, Lord, I've always dreamed of someone who would just love to just quote old, funny 80s movies. Joseph started quoting Long Duck Dong. Oh my gosh, I thought, oh, you've seen that movie? You know Long Duck Dong? Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard. It was hilarious.
Married?
Married? So all these little things I started to see in him, and I thought, oh my gosh, Lord, are you kidding me? He's had all this stuff all along, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know that all these things that I've been hoping for, like, are right here. And this guy who never in a million years would I ever thought, oh my gosh, I'm falling in love with Joseph Tatsis. Like, I can honestly look at him and say he's everything that I've prayed for. And a little bit extra to keep me grounded.
That was all happening with her. I had no clue that was happening. God was working on me, and he did it a little different way. Yeah, she was gorgeous and took my breath away, but you know, I always told Roy, we had this conversation once before about butterflies and how, you know, I believed in butterflies, I told him. And he was like, come on, that's elementary stuff. I don't believe in butterflies no more. And I go, Roy, and I'd rather be single my whole life than not have butterflies. And so when, you know, I'd see girls and, you know, they're beautiful, but I mean, they're not butterflies. I have no idea, you know. And so, but here I could recall 3 times specifically that Amy just totally took my breath away and gave me the butterflies and made me just want to go run and repent, really. But I mean, it was just, and the first time we talked about it, the first time in Ponce's office, I just remember just took my breath away, and who's this girl? And then there was another time too, I remember, it was so funny, it was Jasmine's bridal shower. They had them all in the fellowship hall, and I had an upstairs office, and I'm like, what is all that noise down there? And I peek through my blinds, and I see all these girls, all dressed, all fancy in dresses and everything, and their hair all done and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh. And all this happened in like split seconds. I had to get away from those blinds because they saw me peeking through those blinds. I mean, oh my gosh, there went my whole witness, right? And Joseph's up there peeping Tom, checking out all the girls. And so as I was getting out of there, I remember this so vividly. I just remember Amy caught my eye. And I looked down there, and again, this is all happening in seconds. But as I caught that look, I went in my office and I just started thinking that out of all of those beautiful women down there, guys think like this. If I could have any one of them, you know, Amy was the one. And then I just had to, oh my gosh, Lord, forgive me and repent from it and just suppress the thoughts and you know, Amy, and then justify it away. She's liberal, I'm conservative, she hates my beard. Okay, all that stuff. Just suppress all those thoughts and just move on with business. And then I remember there's another time we were in the youth group in the upper room, and the high schoolers were meeting, and they did this drama or something, this skit, this music.
We did
skit.
a dance.
A dance, okay, interpretive dance to some song. And I'm walking through, running around as normal, and all of a sudden this dance going on, and I just remember seeing Amy dancing, and I just stopped, and you know, it's like those movies where the back gets all sucked in, and you know, the camera, and I'm just like, and she took my breath away, and once again, and I had these butterflies, and I just had to, you know, snap out of it, and what am I thinking of? God forgive me, and move on and get out of there and just flee from it.
And we did that dance, and Joseph was the only person who commented on it. Remember?
Yeah.
Because we were like waiting, okay, was it all right? Was it not all right? And no one would give us really any opinion. And Joseph was the only person. That was one of the things the Lord had reminded me of too, that, well, gosh, he noticed.
Yeah, I noticed. And so, again, suppress the thought. Hey, that was a good job. I don't know what I told her, but and that was that. You know, I was just moving on with life and just doing what God had for me, and wasn't looking for that. And I always felt that God would continue to put that person in my path, and to the point where I just realized I'm in the belly, and this is what God had for me. I couldn't run from it. He kept bringing it to me. Well, I was wrong, but I was right. I was wrong in the sense that He had to take Amy away.
Well, because you don't let anybody get close.
And that's how God had to do it. He had to actually take her away in order for me to see. And it was when she told me she wanted to go to Japan, and when I was taking the group, and God put on my heart to open up that last trip. And so I opened it up, and Amy wanted to go, and so she went. But it wasn't just that, because we've gone to Japan together several times, and Mexico several times. But is when she wanted to stay. Because I've always was noticing her life, like I shared. I saw the growth in her, and so I remember this old study from John Corson, Body, Soul, and Spirit. And it's like, okay, she's got body. The soul, yes, I've seen the changes. I've seen the maturity. I've seen her heart grow so close to God. She was this godly woman. But yet spirit, did we have the same spirit? Did we have the same passion? And you know, was she an uptown girl, or I don't know, right? And so, but when she was willing to go to Japan and say, I'm going to trust God, I want to go, and I don't, have the money, and I don't know how I'm going to support myself, and I just want to go and see if the Lord will open doors for me to stay. That was the clincher. I mean, that was body, soul, spirit. Whoa, man, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. I mean, that was it, and that was the last quality I was waiting to see in a woman. And maybe the same thing. Maybe these are the qualities, but it doesn't mean it's Amy. And so I was in denial and just kept that arm's distance relationship.
But I think we had this friendship for 5 years, and then when we kind of just were able to kind of have a little bit more of a distance and talk more,
right. It created
even more of a bond, friendship.
Yeah. It was that cyber safe distance that I needed to just be safe and not get too close. But what I found myself doing was really becoming close and seeing that my heart was being exposed in a sense. I found myself wanting to talk to her and wanting to chat with her and wanting to know what was going on with her. And that was scary. I was kind of felt like I was compromising the things I've always guarded my heart for. And so these are the things that I was struggling with. I was struggling during that time because I wanted to talk to her. And I wanted to be friends with her, but at the same time, my convictions and my guards and everything. And so I was battling during that time.
And there was even a time that I brought you back Starbucks, and we were talking in the parking lot one night, and then people had left, and then I was just talking to you, and I left my car running because we were outside the church, we weren't inside a church or anything.
I'm in Maple Avenue.
Yeah, on the street, and I had brought you back the coffee, and I'm thinking, okay, I should go. Like, I'm not going to turn off my car, but he keeps talking, and I'm not going to turn it off because he's going to freak out. But I remember that was one of the things that you had shared with me, that you had your two consciences, your two little Jiminy Crickets on your shoulder, and one of them
was saying, what are you doing? What if somebody drives by? You're blowing your witness and all these things. In fact, the other side was saying, I want to talk to her. But these were the guards I put up in my heart that God was trying to tear down. And I tried to suppress the thoughts, but I mean, for that whole week, I just kept being bombarded. I was thinking of Amy, and I was thinking about all the growth in her life. I was thinking about the first time I ever saw her, and it was really the Lord just reminding me of all these things and saying, look at where she's at. Look at where she's come from. Look at where she's going. And I'm just like, he's opening my eyes. But that wasn't enough. I'm like, but God, okay. I mean, yes, she's perfect. Okay. She's beautiful. She's got a heart after your own heart. She has the same heart as mine. But yet, she's never gonna like me. And she's hot, I'm not. That's all there's to it, okay? So, I mean, it is no way. But yet, during that time, we had developed this friendship and this communication, this line of communication. And so, I came to a breaking point where I said, God, I give up. And I always thought it was gonna be like, wait, I thought that God was gonna put me in the valley to the point where I just finally surrendered. And it was like a week-long struggle, fighting, thinking I was crazy, but yet I never felt like this in my life. And it was so overwhelming that I finally just gave in. And I said, okay, God, all right, either I'm crazy or you are, but but I know you're not crazy, so I must be crazy, but I just can't take it no more. And I got a hold of Amy, and I said, I need to talk to you. And I got her on Skype that night, and this is nuts, but I said, I have something to tell you. And she's like, okay. And I just had my little Nike hat, and I put it down because I couldn't even look at the screen. I was so embarrassed. My everything I stood for, my integrity, my character, everything was on the line, and I'm about to blow it all. And I'm going to tell her how I felt. And so I told her. I started off and said, the very first day I saw you in Pastor Poncho's office, you took my breath away. And I went and told her everything. I told her about Jasmine. I told her about the dance. I told her about, all these times.
I was like, are you kidding me?
And at the end, I was humiliated. I was embarrassed. I was just like, but I felt so good just to finally get it out. And I was like, okay, now she's going to tell me, Joseph, you're my pastor. I respect you. I'm very flattered, but, we don't, it's not going to happen, dude. Thank you very much, and never talk to me again.
But on the flip side of it, right, because all this stuff had been developing inside of me, and he doesn't drop any clues like, oh, hey, I like you. Like, I couldn't get any vibes from him on that. On the flip side of it, I was sitting there, and he starts telling me, I have to talk to you. I have my boundaries, and I have my walls, and I have my convictions, and they're there for a purpose, and I always say guys and girls can't be friends because someone's heart always becomes more involved than the other one, and someone always ends up hurt. And I thought, oh dear Lord, this is that moment. This is that moment where I totally like this guy now because I thought you wanted me to like him, and now I like him, and I've been praying, and he's going to tell me, Amy, I hope I haven't given you any, wrong ideas because we talk or whatever. And I thought, oh my gosh, here I am, and I'm about to be hurt. And so I was like, okay.
That's how I started off, because that's what I felt. I felt like I can't do this no more.
Yeah.
Either God's doing something or he's not. And if he is, then let's call for what it is And if he's not, then you know what? I can't do this no more. Because why? My heart is growing for her more than I've ever felt in my life. And I'm going crazy here. And I just couldn't take it. And I said, we just need to end it. Or move forward.
Or be my girlfriend.
Or yeah, basically.
But you were asking all that stuff. Like first he started, with the whole conviction thing.
Yeah.
And then
I went into.
And then the hat came down. Amy, from the first time I saw you, and I was shocked. I was like, what? And then once I started realizing, oh my gosh, he likes me. He likes me. I wanted to say, wait, it's okay, stop. You don't have to keep going. Like, I like you back. But I felt like, whatever it was, like the spirit or whatever, was just like, yo, calm down. Just listen. I was like, okay. And he went through like 5 years of our lives and just different points and all these different moments. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I think in my wildest dreams, I couldn't imagine someone telling me what he was telling me. Someone expressing feelings towards me the way he was. And I was shocked.
Me too.
And then finally he finished. And his hat was still down. And he kind of like put his hands down and then it was my moment to respond, and I think I just said something like, I don't even know what to say right now. I just have to tell you what the Lord has been doing in my heart this whole year. And so I just started explaining, oh my gosh, I like you too. I like you too. But
I told 3 people.
I told 3 people, and they know that I like you, but I didn't want to like you. I didn't want to like you because I didn't want to be a nun. I didn't want to join a nunnery, and I thought if I had liked Joseph, then I have to be a nun. But I like you. And then he was like,
I couldn't believe this.
And so then both of us were shocked.
We were shocked.
Both of us were shocked.
We like sat there like, what do we do now?
And then he was like, will you be my girlfriend? I was like, but I had such a peace. Like, it was the strangest thing, because in my mind, I'm thinking, no, dude, like, you gotta ask me out on a date or something, But then just this other side of me was just, it was exactly what it should be. And I said, yeah.
I have to tell you a little bit about the ring. Because I had no idea. I asked Bert for Amy's hand in marriage, and he gave me permission, and I was so blessed by that. And after that, I had asked Carol, okay, Carol, I need your help. What size finger does she have? What size ring does she wear? What type of style would she like? And Carol's like, I have no clue. I'm like, oh, great. And I never thought of these things. I never thought of a ring. So I had to go searching, Google engagement rings. Silly, I know, but I had no idea. So I started Googling, and I find this ring that I just really liked. It just stood out to me. It just spoke to me about what God was doing in our lives. It was a 3-stone ring. It was princess cut. And it was 14 karat white gold. And I saw this, man, that's the type of ring I want to get. And I thought about how I've always shared this with people. I heard it once a long time ago. It's like relationships should be like a triangle. As I'm here, Amy's here, and God's up here. And the closer we draw to God, the closer He'll draw us closer together. And I really felt that that's what He's done. That she was just seeking God. And even though she's on the other side of the world, He was actually bringing us closer together. And I go, wow, the symbolism in that is just amazing. That's the type of ring I want to represent what God's done in our lives. There's me, there's Amy, and there's God, and He's always going to be in the center of our lives. And so I bookmarked it and just left it alone. Well, a week later, Carol calls me and says, Joseph, I got news for you. And she gets me on Skype and says, I found what type of ring Amy wants. And, okay, what is it? And she goes, it's 14 karat white gold, princess cut, 3 stones. And I'm telling you, my mouth dropped. I heard like angels, oh, in the background. I mean, it was just like this glorious moment. I couldn't believe it. I said, are you kidding me? I said, man, look at this. I sent her the link. And she looks at it, and it's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I can't believe it. I said, I believe it. I couldn't believe it, but I believe it. It was God. And so.
And I love it.
And she loved it.
It's everything that I dreamed of.
And she loves it.
Let me ask you, how has your life changed since this relationship?
I'm finally free. I'm finally free
Yes.
to love, to be loved. I had these guards on my heart for so long, and I had the Lord, and I was so complete in God, and I still am, But He wanted to bless me, and for Him to allow me to love again, to be loved again. I can't tell you how I feel. My life is totally changed. I'm totally a different person. Some of you have seen it. I mean, I'm just like hugging everybody. I'm just like telling everybody I love them. I mean, I'm dancing again, and I'm free. I couldn't do these things. I was never free before. I always had to guard my heart and guard myself, and the walls have been broken down, and I just thank God. I thank God for finding this favor, and that I know I don't deserve. Yeah.
Aww.